Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online Regulation I VGC ladder in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and provide live commentary as I go. In this video, I'm here to answer the question, can stall-oriented strategies work in competitive VGC? You see, stall is a much more common tactic in singles, but does not see a lot of play in VGC. But with this being the end of the Regulation I format, I wanted to feature some teams and Pokemon and strategies that might not be as common and you probably haven't seen before. This team centers around some really unique elements like Cosmic Power, Fire Spin, Binding Ban, Eternatus with Recover. The idea is to just stay on the field for forever with it and disrupt your opponent. You've got Glimmora to spread poison, Ting Lu to decrease your opponent's special attack, a Lunala for good support with Will-O-Wisp as well as Wide Guard, and double redirection from Water Ogre Pond as well as Amoonguss. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down below, and thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, I'd really appreciate if you consider leaving a like on the video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a ton. Also, I'm uploading this video right before the 2025 Pokemon World Championships, which I will be commentating. I often switch between, competing and commentating at Worlds, and this year I will be commentating it. It's especially exciting for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're doing an official meet and greet with Pokemon on Friday from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the convention center, so hope to see some of you all there live if you are attending Worlds. And second of all, this is the first time that we're holding the World Championship Finals in an arena, which I believe has a capacity of over 7,000 people. And so it's going to be really electric to be commentating to a live crowd of so many Pokemon fans this Sunday. So hope you get to check it out. But thanks to you all, as always, for supporting myself, for supporting the channel, the competitive VGC scene. It's crazy to see how far things have gone, and I'm just excited to be a part of history at Worlds this year. So yeah, without further ado, though, let's jump into it. If you're interested in trying out the team, the rental code is on the screen, and there's also an accompanying PokePaste down in the description below. As mentioned, this is a super bulky team revolved around stall. The idea is that you're never going to be doing a ton of damage, but you have a ton of residual damage. You are able to trap your opponents in with Binding Ban, Fire Spin from Eternatus. Glimmora can spread poison via, of course, Mortal Spin as well as Toxic Debris. Amoonguss can heal up your Pokemon, especially Eternatus with Pollen Puff. Ting Lu is really disruptive to special attackers, especially Mirai with its ability and just generally good coverage. Lunala here provides really good support and is going to be generally your heaviest damage dealer, with Moongeist Beam and Moonblast doing consistent damage. You've got a Water Ogre Pond, which you can use against Water Urshifus in particular, which can be annoying against a lot of Pokemon on this team, especially Eternatus if you have Terra'd. The idea is to really disrupt with a ton of residual damage and slowly whittle away at your opponent's health while basically never fainting with Eternatus. Breaking down the team, the first Pokemon I want to highlight is Eternatus. Question of the day, by the way, I want to know what you're most excited to see from the 2025 Pokemon World Championships down in the comment section below. Now, before I actually dive into the team, I want to caveat this with the fact that I would not recommend this team if you are a beginner in VGC or if you want to quickly learn the game and how to play it at a fundamental level. I would recommend this team if you want to just try something completely off the wall that plays very differently from most standard teams in the format, and if you like more bulky strategies in general. That being said, I think that these strategies are much more difficult to execute and you often have your work cut out for you. And so I just wanted to caveat with that, because I think fundamentally there's a reason why these strategies are not as common in VGC. They are not the easiest to use and they are more vulnerable to, for example, bad luck as well. So just a couple of notes first. Now, the first Pokemon to talk about is this Eternatus set, and it's really unique because you've got some very interesting combos. You have Binding Ban here, which allows you to deal more damage with your residual attacks, and so Fire Spin, instead of doing 1/8 damage at the end of every turn, is going to be 1/6. Fire Spin's a unique move. It traps and damages your opponent for 4 to 5 turns, and so it's actually interesting because the in-game counter does not indicate whether it's 4 or 5 turns, and so you have to keep track of how many turns have actually gone by. But the idea behind this is Eternatus wants to set up Cosmic Power. That increases your defense and special defense. After setting up even just 1 or 2, it becomes really difficult to knock out. Then you start trapping your opponents in with Fire Spin, and with Binding Ban, keeps them doing even more damage, which is really nice. One of the downsides of Fire Spin, though, is that it's only 85% accurate. You are going to miss when you use this Eternatus, and it feels really, really bad. And so that's one of the downsides. Like, it can really sting when you spend all this time setting up with the Cosmic Power, and then you click Fire Spin, and then you miss again, right? And so, yeah, unfortunately, this is like probably one of the most effective ways to use Eternatus in a stall-oriented strategy, but Fire Spin is just not the most consistent attack. Otherwise, Recover here is to heal back up, and you have enough speed investment to outspeed max speed Landorus, which is actually really annoying for you because it can Earth Power you before you Terra and Sludge Bomb you after, and so it's really valuable to outpace that. Pressure, by the way, is actually a really important ability on this Eternatus because you are aiming to stall out games for a really long time. There are a lot of moves in the format that only have 5 PP or 8 PP when PP maxed. So when you're up against those, restricted Pokemon that have those really powerful spread moves, for example, keep track of how many times they've actually clicked the move because, for example, if you only have 8 PP, that means you effectively get to click that move 4 times when you're up against Eternatus. That's a really big deal because your opponents will often run out of those attacks, right? And as soon as they've run out of them, it means that they don't actually have very much damage threatening you, which is really nice. The Eternatus is most commonly supported by Glimmora as the lead. The Glimmora here is one of the few Pokemon on the team that can actually deal good damage. It often aims to set up Mortal Spin to just poison your opponents immediately, but of course it can deal good damage with Power Gem as well as Sludge Bomb and Spiky Shield. Sometimes people will want to aggressively target down Glimmora so you can Spiky Shield and Cosmic Power immediately. The idea is that often with this combo, you can go for Mortal Spin turn 1 while Eternatus goes for a Cosmic Power immediately. Suddenly you've poisoned your opponent, you've gotten a boost up. It's really hard for them to deal with you. Otherwise, Glimmora here can also deal nice things like Power Gem into like flying types like Tornadus, for example, and Sludge Bomb into grass types like Rillaboom. To support these two, you've got Lunala. This Lunala is unique in that it has Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp, not a move that I actually had really ever even seen on Lunala, but it's nice because steel types are going to be a problem for you since you, of course, can't poison them. So this is going to be good into your Zamazentas, for example, potential Zacians as well. And the idea is that you can burn and also just deal good residual damage and have, even more residual damage on top. The Lunala is actually fairly offensive here as well, so it's one of your other like actual damage dealers, right? Like Lunala and Glimmora are going to be the main Pokemon that can potentially two-shot a Pokemon, maybe even one-shot them if they're super weak to you. But otherwise, like the rest of the team doesn't have a lot of burst damage, right? The fourth Pokemon here is Ting Lu. Assault Vest Ting Lu is really cool. It can feel really, really bad into certain things, right? If you're up against like an Urshifu, a Zamazenta, like they can just threaten you with close combat or body press. You do have Poison Terra, but often other Pokemon on the team prioritize the Terra. However, the Ting Lu is cool because it's really good into Shadow Rider. You can Snarl Shadow Riders. It's really good into Miraidons, unless they, of course, go for Fairy Terra Dazzling. But if the opposing Miraidons have locked into something like a electric type attack, Ting Lu loves that, and you have a lot of disruption, right? You can Snarl, you can Sand Tube to trap them in, Stomping Tantrum for damage, or Ruination to get them lower and lower and lower in terms of health. Final two Pokemon on the team are Amoonguss and Ogerpon. Amoonguss, fairly straightforward here. It is bulky enough to try to survive those Glacial Lances from Calyrex Ice Rider, and you're going to aim to Spore, but you also have the ability to side Pollen Puff, which is really important on a team like this when Eternatus is really trying to survive the game for the entire time. And then finally, you've got a Water Ogerpon, which is super, super bulky here, and it also has Leech Seed. So this is also kind of cool. You don't really see Leech Seed Water Pond that frequently, but you can use this as a way, for example, to deal with opposing Amoongusses with the Follow Me to redirect Spore, and then you can also Leech Seed into super bulky Pokemon and start stealing their health at the end of each turn, which is also quite nice. I'd say Ogerpon's the Pokemon I bring definitely the least when I play with the team. Like Eternatus, Glimmora, Ting Lu, Lunala is kind of like the go-to for, but you can weave an Amoonguss fairly frequently, dropping Ting Lu for it, for example. And so, yeah, I think I almost always lead with Eternatus, right? Like you can go Redirection plus Eternatus to start setting up. Like Amoonguss Eternatus can pressure Spore while setting up. But Glimmora often is nice because you do want to ideally get those poisons out early. And the idea is to figure out how can I distribute the damage and the residual damage so that not only am I actually getting damage at the end of each turn, but to make sure that your Pokemon aren't fainting. So that's why it's really important to set up Eternatus. But yeah, those are a couple of quick notes. In terms of weaknesses and things to watch out for, this is a stall-oriented team, and games are going to go on for a really long time. So you need to have a lot of patience. You are going to get unlucky when you use this team. You are going to miss fire spins, for example. You are going to get critical hits or get hit by critical hits, and so there's a lot to watch out for. The first thing actually being crits means that you have to be very careful about going up against Urshifu. Now, this team actually has some really nice counterplay, right? With Fairy Terra dealing with Dark Urshifu, as well as Ogerpon and Amoonguss with Rocky Helmet to deal with Water Urshifu. That being said, I was practicing with this team. I had an opponent had Dark Terra Urshifu, and it just completely demolished me because while Eternatus doesn't take much damage, it also isn't doing much damage in return, right? And I think that's one of the fundamental things with this team, in that you will not have a lot of burst damage. And so you have to be very careful because sometimes you might be like, oh, I've set up, I've got him poison up, I've lost a Pokemon, but it's fine. But then all of a sudden you're like, wait, Lunala and Ting Lu also just go down really, really quickly. Eternatus is set up, but all it's doing is just clicking Fire Spin to trap something in and deal some residual damage at the end of each turn. So you have to be really careful about the Pokemon that you bring into a matchup and how you're trading with it as well, right? Like, you have to look for pockets of opportunities for Glimmora and Lunala to actually deal damage with their respective attacks. Otherwise, it's like, Ting Lu can chip away. Ogerpon, if it gets a super effective Ivy Cudgel, maybe that's helpful. Eternatus and Amoonguss are not doing damage, right? They're doing a little bit, and the Fire Spin can add up, but they are never threatening something with like a, hey, I'm actually going to knock you out on a given turn. And so you have to be very, very cautious about that, right? I think it's like, I played against like really well played Shadow Riders, and Shadow Rider I think is just kind of a nightmare because it can just do a lot of damage. It can, so the common Shadow Riders these days are running like Encore as well, so you can get Encored, which feels not very good. And Taunt is going to be one of the absolute best counters against this team because it really shuts down so much, right? Whether it be the Eternatus from setting up or the Amoonguss from sporing or the Wide Guard from Lunala, and so you have to be extra cautious of that. I think just really fast-paced aggressive offense often feels like it just outtrades a composition like this, right? If you lead Glimmora Eternatus, you're vulnerable to Glimmora just like getting doubled up into immediately. I've had opponents who like have two really powerful Pokemon that can threaten down Eternatus, and so even if you get a Cosmic Power up, if one thing's faster than Eternatus and another's doing a lot of damage, that can feel really, really scary as well. You can't protect with Ting Lu as well as Lunala, and so that's something that opponents can take advantage of as well. And overall, you don't have speed control on this team, and you're relatively slow, so there are a lot of different things you have to be vulnerable to or be careful about. Eternatus definitely does not like getting paralyzed either, because then you have to really, really roll the dice every turn, and so yeah, those are a couple of things I would caution you against. We've got Kyogre, Zacian here, Tornadus, Landorus, Hitmontop, and Chien-Pao. So Hitmontop's really cool because it can Wide Guard. That is not cool for us. Tornadus is going to be annoying because it generally is going to be able to taunt. So I want to be careful about that. I think often the Water Ogerpon scares away Kyogre from being led in this matchup. And it's interesting because Water Ogerpon actually isn't that amazing here because we don't have a Grass type attack on it. So what I think I want is Eternatus, Glimmora, Amoonguss, Lunala. And what I think I want to do is if we see Tornadus lead, I want to actually protect the Eternatus and just Power Gem KO Tornadus on turn 1. Because Taunt is basically such a big nuisance. You really want to get some boosts up with the Eternatus. And I also think in this game there is a case to not tearing with the Eternatus. But it's actually going to be Hitmontop and Kyogre. Interesting. So Fake Out is definitely a possibility, but they could also just Faint immediately, which would break through Protect. Okay. And Kyogre's Rain goes off first. That should be Scarf Ogre, which is good to know. Like, the debate I have here is, I think I'm okay going for a Cosmic Power, actually, and a Mortal Spin. We're gonna Terra. Probably Terra Water, is my guess. Yeah, which is super duper offensive Kyogre. Makes sense. Yep, it was the Faint. Okay, cool. The Water Spout. Okay, we resist. I obviously take a ton of damage there, but that's okay. The Feint is actually really annoying, by the way, because it breaks through Protect and Wide Guard, so it prevents my ability to stall out the Water Spout PP, which is one of the cool things you can do with Pressure Eternatus. But we'll get the double poison to start immediately, and they've obviously committed their Terra, which I'll take. Glimmora has served its purpose here. I would love for them to just click Feint in that slot now, honestly. And Kyogre is going to be doing less and less damage, obviously, right? Because you no longer, or now you're poisoned. And so this next turn, I'm happy to just click Recover here. And happy to just go for a Sludge Bomb here into Kyogre. Ideally, it's like Hitmontop targets the Glimmora. Glimmora faints. We get a layer of Toxic Spikes up. And then I get to bring in Lunala or Amoonguss for free. Because the thing with Amoonguss is then I can just side Pollen Puff and heal back all the damage that's been done. So, beautiful. They do go for Feint. So it's now single target Water Spout, but it's going to be substantially weaker than the last one, which did just over 50%, because now you have taken a little bit of chip damage, and I have the special defense boost. And Toxic Spikes indeed does get set up. So as long as we don't get crit here, I actually feel very good about our spot. Beautiful. Okay. Now we get to recover. You can see the strength of Hitmontop here, though, right? Like, being able to break through wide guards is kind of a big deal. But now they are in a tricky position, because now I get to bring in Amoonguss, and I get to take advantage of the fact I know your Kyogre is choiced. So let's bring out Amoonguss. And let's go for another Cosmic Power here, and Pollen Puff into Eternatus. Kyogres use 2 Water Spouts, by the way, right? You get 8 PP max, and so they've only got 2 left. They're going to go for Feint again, but this is totally okay. And Kyogre's just losing more and more of its health right now, right? So, beautiful. It was interesting they actually targeted the Eternatus slot over the Amoonguss slot there. But we'll just keep boosting up and get a nice little Pollen Puff here as well. Cool. You know what we can do? Assuming Kyogre stays in for the last turn, I can Fire Spin it and basically just trap it in, and it's going to start struggling after this turn. So, yeah, I think I'm happy to Fire Spin here. You know, the other interesting thing here is I could switch in Lunala, because you would think Feint now goes into the Amoonguss slot. It's basically a debate of, like, do I want to break Shadow Shield? I think I'm down. I mean, how much do they do with that last one? Like, the question is, do I Feint to a Feint plus Water Spout? That's my main fear. Definitely down to Fire Spin here. Yeah, I think I'll switch in Lunala here. Because we're getting into an endgame where I think Amoonguss can keep healing up Eternatus, which is a really big deal. So I'll bring in Lunala. Yep, and they Feint into the Amoonguss slot. Beautiful. And this should be their final Water Spout now. That's 4 Water Spouts used. You see we don't take a ton there. Fire Spin connects. Okay, now we are in business. This Kyogre is now trapped in, and given that it's Choice Scarf, it has 0 PP to work with, so it's literally unable to do anything, which is huge. So we can actually just leave it on the field for the remainder of the game. This is obviously like such an obscure team and strategy to play against that you're normally not going to anticipate fighting against something like this, but we should be in phenomenal shape now. Kyogre's on a timer. Now we can focus our efforts on the Hitmontop slot. Honestly, the question is whether or not this slot switches out. But I think I'm happy to actually go for another Cosmic Power right now. That's super free. I'm honestly worried a little bit about a random Sucker Punch from Hitmontop, so I actually don't mind switching back out into Amoonguss. Because I do think, like, with Hitmontop, Fake Out, Sucker Punch, Close Combat, Feint, I mean, he gets access to a lot of good moves. Yeah. You're not going to get tripped up by that one. And Kyogre starts struggling. So this is the dream, right? Although, because it takes the recoil damage, it actually does Feint after this turn, but that's fine. Eternatus just keeps boosting up, and there's no sign of them threatening us at any point, right? So Kyogre is going to Feint. It would have been nicer if I got 1 extra turn here so that I could have, like, gotten a Pollen Puff potentially, but we've now seen Hitmontop's moveset in the Feint as well as the Sucker Punch, and presumably Fake Out plus a Fighting type attack. So no Protect, but that's to be expected. But this has been perfect for us, more or less. Landorus comes in. Okay. So it is interesting because Landorus obviously does threaten with super effective fighting damage. Or not fighting. Ground damage. And the last one should be Zacian from my opponent's end. Like, I don't think +3 Earth Power KOs us here. They could obviously Feint plus Earth Power. Honestly, like, Sandsear Storm is kind of to be expected. But I also think it's probably fine to just Terra here and keep Cosmic Powering while Spore into the Landorus. Okay, they switch. That's fine. It's like, yeah, Zacian is scary, but if we're at +4 defense, is it really that scary? I don't think so. One other thing to think about is that Lunala can be somewhat decent into Zacian, especially with Will-O-Wisp. Because part of the problem here is despite them setting up that Toxic Spikes, like, onto the Glimmora, I don't get to actually poison either of these. But that's why you have Will-O-Wisp on the Lunala. Okay, Landers protect, so I think that was a smart play by them. But this was a super free Cosmic Power, so no reason to not go for that. Maybe it could have been Side Pollen Puff here instead to heal back. Don't think I would have hated that, but this is fine. I think if you're my opponent, you actually should double up onto the Amoonguss right now because the Spore pressure is so real. I'm at +4 now. The question is whether or not I want to Rage Powder. I'd love to get a Spore off, but I also don't want to protect here. So I'm thinking I can go for Fire Spin onto Zacian and Spore into it. Cool. And they blade into Amoonguss, yeah. To which we survive. Nice. Rocky Helmet. Now you are trapped in. And I think at this point Eternatus should win against my opponent. They actually end up revealing Sludge Bomb, targeting the Amoonguss slot, but that's fine. I just don't see how Landers... I mean, their win condition is a critical hit, basically, right? The main question is whether or not I should have actually Terra'd this Eternatus, I think, but it's fine. Okay, I know I'm faster than the Landers. I think I'm actually happy to click Recover here and Moongeist Beam into Zacian. But Eternatus should win against him on top plus Landers. Just barring critical hits. They're going to Blade here. So I could have protected, but I thought there was a chance they protected. And yeah, we survived that. Perfect. That's why I was willing to go for the target last turn, by the way. So now we get to heal back up. We're going to get a Sludge Bomb off, but as you see, it doesn't do the most. And Moongeist Beam now should finish off the Zacian. Beautiful. Okay. So now it's Hitmontop plus the Landorus. Lunala is actually in a really good spot as well, right? It's got leftovers. Landorus should not be able to threaten it with a lot of damage, so we should have this one. I think the main turn I'm thinking about is when they switched Hitmontop out and protected Landorus. I could have gone for a Pollen Puff there, which would have been a little bit nicer, but I think it's still fine. We got to show off what this team can do, and that was really cool. Yeah, I'm honestly... This game actually, like, it's not 100% over, right? They could go for Fake Out. They could obviously Feint. I think I'm down to Protect here. If you go for Feint, so be it. I mean, I'm debating, like, whether or not I should recover. If it's more optimal to Protect or Recover. Because it's like their win con is getting the move right and getting a crit. Oh, actually, we know that they do have the Sucker Punch, so I still have to be careful. Yeah, I'm down to Will-O-Wisp and Recover for that reason. Yeah. Cool. We don't even need to hit the Will-O-Wisp, like it would be nice, but more importantly, it's just to make sure Eternatus gets to heal back up, because that's the primary star. They're going to Earth Power actually into the Lunala slot. Interesting. And Will-O-Wisp connects. Nice. Cool. My guess is that they just Sucker Punch again this next turn, but I don't know if it's worth it to go for anything else with Lunala. I could click Wide Guard, I guess, just to stay around for one more turn. Oh, it's Berry Hitmontop. That's interesting. You don't see that every day. Okay. Figgy Berry. That's cool. Alright, we'll go for a Fire Spin now onto Landorus. And I'm just going to Moonblast here. They should Sucker Punch. Yeah. But it's like, I don't know, I could buy an extra turn with Lunala, but it doesn't really get me that far anyway. Like, I'm fine just attacking here. Does Fire Spin miss? Ooh, that adds some drama. Sludge Bomb. But yeah, Sludge Bomb's barely denting us, so this is fine. Like, they're just going to run out of PP on Sludge Bomb. But the Fire Spin does add a little bit of drama. I think I'm down to just click it again right now. Yep, him on top just feints. They're not making it easy for us. It is scary because it's like every Sludge Bomb let this Landorus guess is an opportunity for a critical hit, obviously. Fortunately, with the residual damage, like, it's fine, but from Will-O-Wisp, but it's just, yeah, taking a lot longer to get there. So I do have to recover here. But this is one of the downsides of Eternatus on this team. You're just going to miss Fire Spin sometimes. The back-to-back miss is unfortunate, though. It just, like, delays this substantially longer, but it's okay. Cool. I actually don't mind getting to +6 right now, I think. Yeah. I think the main thing that's scary in this position right now is that I am vulnerable to critical hits. And it's like they have a lot more opportunity for crits because I missed 2 Fire Spins in a row. But that's mostly why crits exist in this game, right? Okay, him on top faints after this turn. And that's actually a really big deal because it means I can start protecting against the Landorus as well. But you can see if I hit that Fire Spin earlier, this game would have just been basically wrapped up, I think. But we'll go for a recover here just because it does cover for a critical hit this turn. I think even if they crit Eternatus, I'm not confident they get a one-hit knockout. The mistake would be, assuming that what I just said is true, clicking Cosmic Power or Fire Spin, and then they do get a crit, and we just lose on the spot. This way we're covering for crit. But yeah, they Sucker Punch again. Cool. And we'll heal back up. And this is where Eternatus, like, actually having, you know, solid speed is nice as well. Landorus being slower is a big deal, and they're opting to click Sandsteer now, okay? Cool. Him on top finally faints. Yep. Okay, perfect. Now it's 1v1. Let's hope we hit the third Fire Spin. I'm fine going for a Protect here. Add up more damage. More, and then waste more PP as well. Okay, they may have used all their Sludge Bombs if they're clicking Earth Power and Sandsteer now. So let's hope we just finally connect on this Fire Spin. If, you know, those Fire Spins earlier had hit, Landorus would have just fainted over the course of this, but like I said, it's a couple of extra opportunities for them to crit us. Yeah, okay. So Earth Power again. And they do get the crit, but it's okay. Oh, wow, this game had everything. I figured we would survive a crit there from Earth Power, but yeah, it's a little bit of drama, but now we just protect. It was crucial that there wasn't enough Sludge Bombs here in the end. Because if they had another Sludge Bomb and they crit us there, that would have obviously won them the game, but Landorus now faints from this combo. But this is what I was saying, right? If like the first Fire Spin connected, the Landorus would have just been done after a couple turns. But they basically like double the amount of turns that they had to work with since we like double missed the Fire Spin. I don't know if it was more optimal to maybe just click Fire Spin again rather than like Cosmic Powering and recovering, but in the end, yeah, like we needed the extra HP in order to make sure that we survived the critical hit Earth Power there, but that game had a little bit of everything. So these teams are really like difficult to use, and it's part of the reason why I think stall is not exactly the most effective in VGC, because, you know, in these end games, it's like, okay, all I need to do is avoid a crit, but I'm clicking moves for 10 turns. My opponent having Feint made it substantially harder because normally Eternatus gets to like double its lifespan by clicking Protect, but because they had Feint, they'd be able to break through my Protect, which actually is quite annoying. And yeah, like him on top was actually huge for my opponent, being able to threaten with Feint as well as Sucker Punch onto my Lunala. And that end game was very dramatic with the double Fire Spin miss. So this is not the most consistent strategy, and we had a really good start. And I felt in control the entire game, but yeah, like it was scary because if one of those Sludge Bumps had gotten a critical hit, that would have just been it for us, obviously. And the Earth Power did a ton there, but we managed to pull through. Chi-Yu, Miraidon, Landorus, Grimmsnarl, Iron Hands. Is the ladder just all Landorus right now? Like, this is nuts. Interesting. Ting Lu should be incredible here. Probably just Lunala, Glimmora, Ting Lu, Eternatus. Could see it being Miraidon Landorus lead. I might actually just lead Ting Lu, honestly. Eternatus. But then I don't get my poison early. But I feel like that's okay. More in the back. Let's try this. Like, I feel like Ting Lu just reducing my opponent's damage output means Eternatus can set up a little bit more easily. I can also, like, if I'm up against... Like, if Miraidon's out, right, they're already in a tricky spot. I guess I could just go Fairy Terra Dazzling is the thing. Water Ogre Pawn is not great. Moongus does, like, it's like bringable because you can Spore Landorus, but that's basically it. Grim Calyrex, I'm very okay with this. The main question I have is whether or not it's Encore on Calyrex. Because what I want to do is just Cosmic Power turn 1 and Snarl. Castle of Ruin. Snarl. Cosmic Power. Grim could have Fake Out here. He could have Taunt. Normally it's going to be screens, but on a team like this, I could actually see it being like the Fake Out Grim sets. Just Light Screen. Okay. It's fine by me. What? I mean, I'm fine with that, I guess. It didn't really do that much damage, but that is attack on Shadow Rider. Okay. Well, hits not bad. You have Light Screen up. I mean, you're just not doing much damage right now, so that's good. We'll see if they have Encore. Like, that's going to be the key question. If so, then that's a little unfortunate, but like, I'm honestly down to just Snarl and Cosmic Power again right now. And I, like, don't think you're going to have Encore if you have Energy Ball in your set, so. Yeah, I'm more than okay with this. Ting Lu still has half its health. I think we probably Fire Spin this next turn. I'm down to just keep spamming Snarl though, right? Because it's like their team is just mainly special attackers. So Snarl here, Fire Spin. I actually don't mind trapping in Grim Snarl. Yeah, they switch out. So it's like by trapping in Grim now, unless you have Parting Shot, that's just out on the field. They do bring Iron Hands out, which makes sense. It's Thunder Wave coming out, that's fine. Because I think this means they shouldn't have brought Landorus as their fourth. We missed Fire Spin, unfortunately. Okay, that is not ideal, but attacking through Paralysis is not going to be amazing for us anyway. I think, though, now it's an opportunity to bait out damage into us. I can bring in Glimmora here. Like, if you target this down, right, get some Toxic Spikes up, bring out Glimmora, and then just Fire Spin again. Target hands there. We want to make sure we conserve the Ting Lu for the Miraidon and the Shadow Rider in the end game, whereas Glimmora is less important right now. Okay. Would have been such good shape if we hit either of those, but it's fine. Everything's okay. Spirit Break now, I assume. Assurance is cool. Whoa. Okay, you don't see that very often. It's fine, though. Like, I want a Spiky Shield and Fiery Spin right now. Or Fire Spin. But, yeah. You do have to connect on these fire spins, as we've seen. I actually still feel great about the positioning, though, so it's okay. Yep, they try to Thunder Wave us. Great. Third time is the charm, hopefully. Nice. Okay. So that's good. They definitely have some unique moves here. Energy Ball, Shadow Rider, and Stomping Tantrum, Iron Hands. Huh. Okay. I think I'm down to just Mortal Spin now and Fire Spin into Grim. And lo and behold, they don't go for a Thunder Wave now. So I think both of these now are just going to get slowly residual out, which is great. And then I think we can just use Ting Lu plus Eternatus in the end game. So I feel like we should be set up for a win here. Stomping into Eternatus. Assurance. Yeah. This doesn't even do half. I do think Iron Hands was correct for them to bring into this one to deal with Ting Lu. But yeah, I'm just not letting them have that opportunity. Okay. Like I'm down to just Spiky Shield and recover now, right? Both of these are trapped in. You're taking residual damage at the end of each turn. Like. And Shadow Rider's already lost over half of its health as well, right? So the main thing I want to do is ideally get 1 or 2 more boosts on Eternatus now that we've trapped them in. They're also extremely slow for them to be not outspeeding me after paralysis. Another stomping. Okay, nice double up there. That's fine though. I'm trying to determine if it's actually more optimal to not KO Grimmsnarl here, because it prevents them from getting 2 free switch-ins. I think we just KO hands here, actually, so then they don't get the extra assurance damage boost. Well, Sludge Bomb and Cosmic Power. Cool. Yeah, without the increase in assurance damage, Grim just does nothing. You get paralyzed, but that's fine. They actually target the Glimmora, too, so sets up another layer of spikes. Cool. I think Assurance is a really cool tech. You never see that on Grim, really, but the good thing here is we were able to leverage the physical damage or the contact and just set up 2 layers of Toxic Spikes. So now you're really on a timer with Shadow Rider plus the Mirai. Okay. In the end game now. I think the main thing I'm debating about is, do I just hard switch in Ting Lu right now? Because I'm worried about another full Paraturn. They are cooking on this team. Electric Seed Miraidon. Normally when I see that, I would actually think it's Calm Mind, which actually makes a ton of sense with Grimmsnarl. But I think I'm okay going up against this kind of set. I think I'm down to switch in Ting Lu, Terra, Fire Spin. Yeah. Target Shadow Rider because that's on a timer. It's a little bit sooner. And once we get rid of Shadow Rider, Miraidon can handle, or Lunala can handle Miraidon. Yeah, my main question is this Fairy Terra? Nope, electric. Cool. Okay. I think it also could have made sense to Terra Lunala in this one, but I think it's fine. Reverse Astral. Yep. Nice. Barely take much there. And they Draco. Cool. Perfect. Another Fire Spin miss. That's fine. It's fine. Terra Electric Seed with Draco Meteor. Interesting. I should survive Astro plus Drift, honestly. I'm pretty sure. So, happy to just Snarl here and recover. Yep, another Astral. There's Drift. Even if I don't survive this, like, I think it's fine. I could have tried to protect there, but I was worried about getting full parried. We actually do survive, but on exactly 1 HP. That's nuts. No para. Perfect. I actually thought I would have survived that with a little bit more, but Electric Terra is obviously a big deal. And Snarl now finishes off Calyrex. Actually crit the Mirai. But yeah, basically, or not Snarl finishes off, but does Poison finish it off? I thought it would, but maybe it's one more turn? Yeah, it's one more turn. Cool. But I just don't see how they ever deal with Ting Lu at this point, right? Down to Stomping now and recover. Yeah. After the sets were fascinating here. Energy Ball, Shadow Rider, Draco Meteor, Electric Seed, Electric Terra, Miraidon, plus Stomping Tantrum. All of those were helpful in some ways, right? Because it allowed him to get a little bit of extra damage off. Specs Miraidon, I think the traditional set probably would have been a little bit scarier. But yeah, we were able to just like trap Iron Hands and Grimmsnarl in. They weren't doing any damage. I was getting free boosts off with Eternatus, and that was awesome. All right, we have Shadow Rider, Zamazenta, Chien-Pao, Chi-Rock, Ogerpon, Amoonguss. This is one of the top teams over from Japan. As we close out Regulation, I won a grassroots tournament, and I featured this team on the channel. So you can check out the video linked down in the description below. It's Assault Vest Chien-Pao. I think, like, yeah, Shadow Rider with Focus Sash can just honestly do so much damage. Like, low-key interested in Ogerpon. Ting Lu solid, but obviously has to worry about Zama. Don't think it's Amoonguss, but Amoonguss could theoretically Water Terra and get a Spore off, which actually isn't terrible. I think the problem is the opposing Amoonguss is a huge threat, so I need Water Ogerpon. Now, if I want Lunala, that means no Glimmora, which means no Poison. Eternatus. Water Ogerpon. Okay, let's try this out. So yeah, I don't know. Like, Glimmora is interesting. Like, Poison is a little bit less effective into a Zamazenta team. They have, you know, Zamazenta and Amoonguss. How Zama, okay. How do we feel about this? I don't love it because it's Ruination Chien-Pao. Oh, Ruination Chien-Pao is actually so tough for us here, isn't it? That actually is like a game changer in a matchup like this, huh? I want to be careful about tearing because I do then take more damage from this. Just worry they like launch an ice type attack immediately into us, but this also doesn't have that much attack investment. So I'm actually thinking of going for Cosmic Power, Spiky Shield turn 1. Yeah, they go for Ruination. That's fine, because I can just heal back up with Recover. I'm faster than Zama, too. Nice play. But that did no damage. Okay, cool. They might go for an Ice-type attack now. Like a Cosmic Power again. I kind of want to just Fire Spin immediately. I can't express how good Ruination is against us here. If I were them, I would just go for an Ice-type attack here. They were probably covering for Terra there, by the way, which makes a lot of sense. Could have been a Leech Seed. That would have been nice. Follow me, Fire Spin. The Pow Zama combo just seems really hard to break through. Okay, that's Ruination. Probably Body Press now, you would think, but we've got him Fire Spin. Yeah. Just lose Water Ogre Pond, which was honestly my Amoonguss answer, so now Amoonguss becomes really scary. I don't think I can bring... I mean, I could bring in Ting Lu, I suppose, but... I think I like Lunala more here. It's Sucker Punch, Ice Shard, Ruination, Crash, Chien-Pao, and so I can't actually hit the Lunala for a ton. I honestly think they're going to Ruination this. I'm going to... Do I want to recover? I'm partially thinking, like, they aggressively target into Lunala. I think Terra recover here. Moonblast is okay. But yeah, honestly, like, the Ruination Chien-Pao with the Assault Vest is just kind of a beast here. Because it's hard to get rid of, and it's able to ignore Cosmic Power Boost as well, which is not great. Yeah, they do Ruination into Lunala, which is okay. I'll recover, but the thing is now you can just Ruination that slot again. We do survive Heavy Slam. Get Moonblast off. I wonder if that should have just been Fire Spin onto Chien-Pao, honestly. This is just going to feint to a Body Press, which is really bad for us. So I think I'm going to Fire Spin into Chien-Pao, switch out into Ting Lu. It honestly maybe needed to be a Amoonguss lead here into this. Because with the Amoonguss lead, I could have just gone Water Terra Spore turn 1. So like Amoonguss plus the Eternatus. But then I'm so weak into the opposing Amoonguss. Ice Shard, that's fine. Fire Spin. Yeah, Heavy Slam does no damage because of the weights, so that's good at least. Unfortunately, Chien-Pao doesn't faint. You should Ruination this, Body Press this, right? So I'm going to Protect here, switch back out into Lunala. I just feel like I've given up so many resources already, and it's not a great start for us, right? I've taken too much damage across the board. If I could replay this into this lead, Amoonguss would have been nicer for sure. It would be amazing if they went Ruination and Body Press, and we actually get Lunala back in safely. Okay, it is Ruination. Show me Body Press. Okay, they went Heavy Slam. That's also fine. Cool. We're still in it. You bring out Shadow Rider now. Conserving Ting Lu to have the endgame against Shadow Rider would be good. Basically, the reason why I indexed on Water Ogre Pong was because it's good into like Chi-Yu, it's good into Amoonguss, it's good into Shadow Rider, but my opponent's lead was just better here, and so that put me in a tough spot. Shadow Rider comes in. This thing is Encore, so I think I kind of have to Fire Spin here. I think I'm down to Fire Spin and Wide Guard. Yeah, since my Eternatus is actually faster than the Zama, that's a pretty big deal. They do just Astro. Okay. Okay, okay. Not bad. Get Fire Spin on a Shadow Rider, so now that's chipping away. They heavy slam into us for not much. Okay. Not a terrible turn. Residual damage is now picking up. Zama does get freed, though, which doesn't feel great. The question here is whether or not I go for another Wide Guard. I could make the hard read and just be like, you're going to expect Wide Guard, and so you're going to Psychic, and I just Moongeist Beam you. I think I'm still going to click it, though. It's just like, I could see an opportunity to win the game right now. I think I'm actually going to go for it. Oh, they switch. Okay. Into Ogre Pawn. That's okay with me. That doesn't KO, though. That would have been huge to get a knockout there. Because the problem is now they can just Woodhammer my Ting Lu safely. Yeah. So maybe I needed to Fire Spin Zama a little bit earlier. Or like weave in another Fire Spin. Not having poison on the board is less than ideal here, too. Because, yeah, now you can just Woodhammer the Ting Lu and, like, Astral Barrage. I think Amoonguss needed to come in, but to be honest, if they had if I went Amoonguss, they could have just protected, like, Zama, switch in Ogre Pawn turn 1. So, I just don't think this is the easiest matchup, honestly. And it's, like, part of the reason why Stall is not going to be the best strategy to use in VGC. This team is fun, but like I don't think I made maybe blatant misplays, and it still just felt really tough. But part of it is this Ruination Champal set, right? I guess if I conserve Terra here, Terra Poison Ting, nah, but then I'm weak to Psychic. That doesn't feel great. I guess I could always mess up and Ivy Cudgel this for some reason. My only hope for victory would be somehow KOing. We do have Snarl, actually. Hold on. It would be like Fire Spin into this and Snarl. Yeah, they just protect. Nice protect. I wonder if it's a double? Oh, wow. Was there an opportunity there to... I just don't think Fire Spin plus an attack from Ting Lu KO's Ogre Pawn, so I don't think there was much I could have done there. I would have needed to go, like, Fire Spin Ruination into this. But then the problem is I can't even protect in front of the Shadow Rider because it just gets to Encore me. So, yeah. And with them being... Oh, sorry, it's not Power Whip, it's Woodhammer. With them being Woodhammer, they just always KO me here. I guess unless I somehow survive a Woodhammer, but I just can't see that being the case. Because it would be Astral plus Woodhammer, right? Yeah. I do end up surviving. So if I somehow survive Woodhammer, there's like a slight chance, but... Yeah. No chance. I think against the Chien-Pao Zama, I was gonna say like maybe we just go Lunala, Fairy Terra the Lunala, Moonblast immediately, but that doesn't even KO the Chien-Pao because it's Assault Vested. So yeah. Like, the solutions I can think of here would be Water Terra Amoonguss or Fairy Terra Lunala, but quite frankly, I don't think either of them really solve for it. Part of the issue here is, like, I just can't spread poison with Glimmora very easily, right? And we just don't have enough damage burst, and Shadow Rider can just kind of keep spamming Astral Barrage. Water Ogre Pond, unfortunately. It's like, yeah, if I brought a Amoonguss, at least I could have gone, like, Rage Powder and boost up with Eternatus. But it's just, like, I give up too many resources too early on. By the time Eternatus is, like, kind of set up, I'm not able to, like, actually spread enough residual damage across the board, right? If the Zamazenta had fainted and we got a Moongeist Beam off onto the Ogre Pond, I mean, that was the critical turn in my opinion, right? I wasn't counting if Fire Spin only got 4 hits or 5 hits of residual damage, but if Zama had fainted there, Moongeist Beam then goes off into the Ogre Pond, which does a ton. Maybe then where, like, a Fire Spin finishes you off. That being said, I still would have just lost to Woodhammer plus Astral Barrage anyway, since I had taken so much damage, so yeah. Whoa, okay. Miraidon, Zacian, Chiyu, Landorus, King Gambit, and Iron Valiant. Super interesting. Ting Lu feels interesting to me here. The Steel type scares me a little bit. I don't love this matchup, honestly. I feel like they have so much burst damage. And if I Terra Eternatus, I become weak to Zacian. Chiyu Miraidon lead scares me. Yeah, I think this is a really tough matchup, honestly. But we'll see what we can do. I don't think it's Ogre Pond here. I'm like low-key debating if I even bring Lunala. Like, I think there's a world in which I just go the top 4. The reason is because Lunala is so bad into Chiyu, it's so bad into King Gambit. If I Terra, I become weak to Zacian. Its main value is getting a Will-O-Wisp off into Zacian, which honestly could be enough reason to bring it. But I kind of like the other options more here. So I'm going to go Eternatus, Glimmora, Ting Lu, Amoonguss. Mainly because, like, I want Ting Lu for the Miraidon and the Chiyu. Amoonguss gives me side Pollen Puff, so even though we're up against Miraidon, Pollen Puff alone is a big deal. Landorus, Miraidon, okay. Interesting. I could go switch into Ting Lu immediately against this. I could protect. Plus. Do I want to protect? Like, protect Mortal Spin is an option. Switch in Ting Lu here is an option. Because, like, they could Sandsear and Volt Switch right now. I think it's a possibility. I want to be careful about tearing super early on. I think I'm down for the Protect switch into Ting Lu. Also contemplating a double switch here. Okay, I'm going to go Protect switch. I feel like if I Terra too early on, I'm just super weak to Zacian. This should negate most of what Miraidon would want to do on turn 1. Okay. It's Discharge. Guess I'm okay with that. And Sandsear, yeah. Like, I think I can go for just Cosmic Power here. Worried about getting paralyzed. Paralysis would be really bad. Cosmic Power and Snarl. Nice. Miraidon protects. Okay. Interesting. What does the Miraidon say here? I'm going to eat up a Sandsear, but with 1, you could miss, and 2, with Ting Lu's ability and the special defense boost, it's okay. It's actually Earth Power, but you see, yeah, I don't actually take that much there. Nice, and Snarl doesn't miss either. Fantastic. Wait, what? Okay. That explains the lack of damage there as well. It's Covert Cloak? They could obviously Draco me now. I think I'm down to go for a Protect here. And a Snarl. Mainly to drop Miraidon's damage output. Discharge Dazzling Gleam. What is your last move? You would think Draco Meteor, right? It's Life Orb. Could be Volt Switch. Get a Snarl off. At some point I want to like start going for Fire Spin, right? Covert Cloak Landers is fascinating. I think I might Terra here, honestly. Because I think I can deal with Zacian. Nah, can I? With what I have in the back? If I Fairy Terra this right now? Just, they're also just not clicking Draco, but I just don't want to get popped by a Draco right now is my fear. They're going to Sandsear again. I'm gonna Fire Spin Stomping Miraidon. They actually switch. Okay. That works for me. We trap whatever's coming in. It's Zacian. That's a dream come true for us. That's so good. Now you're trapped in, and I get a Stomping into you. I have taken a lot of damage from the Landers at this point, though, which is scary. But the Zacian also just faints after this next turn, right? Well, that's great. I'm thinking of going for Protect here and then switching Glimmora in here with the idea is that I want them to set up a layer of Toxic Spikes. The main thing is I feel like I need to get a Spore, or sorry, yeah, like some recovery off on Eternatus. I wasn't confident. Like, I think I just faint to a Behemoth Blade here, which is why I'm protecting. But I actually could have. This is fine, though. They set up the Toxic Spikes. Which is what I was looking for. It's going to be Sandsear, but I don't really need Glimmora. They connect. I just can't believe it's Covert Cloak Landorus. That is so wild, but... That's one of the best items in Best of 1 closed team sheet, so. Zacian fainting this quickly, though, is, I think, really great for us. I think what I do now is bring out a Mungus. They timed the terrain really nicely, so well done there. Iron Valiant, huh. Okay. I mean, I don't mind that, I think. As long as I get a recover off with Eternatus, I think we're in great shape here. So this is the turn. And I think I can just go Fairy Terra now. Recover. Rage Powder. Rage Powder just covers for shenanigans, right? I mean, if like they Sandsear, fine. I'm not taking that much damage. And I do want a Terra to get around the super effective hit of Sandsear. Because they could also Icy Wind and Sandsear right now. But with this, I would survive, I think. Okay, here's Rage Powder. Oh, okay. Cool. I mean, yeah, Valiant didn't have booster energy there, so we actually just ended up being faster. Another Sandsear. They've connected with all of them, but it's fine. Close combat. Okay. Normally you're going to be Focus Sash on Valiant, so that's fine with me. You end up eating up a ton of damage. See, our last one is Ting Lu. A lot of plays we could go for. Sludge Bomb is still kind of scary into us here. Close combat's actually kind of scary as well because we have Ting Lu as our last one. I think I'm going to go Fire Spin into Valiant actually and protect with the Amoonguss right now. I have to be careful because I do not want Ting Lu just out on the field given that they have close combat Valiant. But Fire Spin connects. Cool. They just Sandsear again. Yep. Landorus is so accurate. And close combat into Amoonguss. Okay, fantastic. That's good. So Valiant takes a lot more recoil damage now. Can recover here. Recover switch in is one option. I don't think Fire Spin KOs this. They're going to Sandsear close combat again, right? Like, I'd rather have Ting Lu in the endgame against the Miraidon, I think. So I think I'm down to go for Recover plus Spore here. Because you could also miss Sandsear on Amoonguss, right? Oh, they go for Sludge Bomb. Okay. Do they KO Amoonguss? Did they target it? They do. Nice. I feel like that should win us the game. Yeah, that was part of the theory behind going for Spore here. That's huge. Okay. Valiant now faints. So this Miraidon is Discharge, Dazzling Gleam, Protect. I mean, I just don't think you can hit the Eternatus, right? Your best bet is Discharge, but that's fine. Because I think now, with us getting the Spore off into Landorus, I can just pivot Amoonguss out into Ting Lu. Yeah, I think, like, Recover, switch in Ting Lu here feels fine. Because this would also cover for their last one being Electro Drift. This is just a really weird Miraidon set with Dazzling Gleam, Protect, and Discharge. Because it could be Electro Drift, it could be Volt Switch, it could be Draco Meteor. They just click Discharge, that's fine. Cool. You eat up Life Orb damage. No para, huge. And Landorus has to take its guaranteed first turn of sleep. This should put us in really good shape now. Beautiful. And the fact we've gotten Ting Lu into this endgame is perfect. Miraidon keeps eating poison damage. I feel like it's probably fine to just go Protect here and Stomping Tantrum, but Miraidon theoretically could get a Protect off. So I'm debating about actually switching in Amoonguss and then being able to switch it back out for more Regenerator. I also think Cosmic Power here and Stomping is probably okay. Yeah, they go for a Protect. That's fine. Cool. This is Ting Lu's dream. 2 special attackers out on the field. So Landorus is hoping to wake up right now. If it doesn't, I think the game should just end. Nice. They stay asleep. Beautiful. I think Zacian getting popped as quickly as it did was a big deal for us in this one. So that worked out well. Happy to just Fire Spin now and Stomping Tantrum into Miraidon. Yeah, and they just go for another Discharge. Makes sense. I think they're hoping maybe you get a Paralysis onto the Eternatus. They do manage to get it. So if Landorus like wakes up and crits us, can they even win there? Because then it's Ting Lu Amoonguss, and I don't know if you even beat that. But Landorus stays asleep. Cool. I do get it paralyzed, but Ting Lu getting the Stomping is all I need. Yep, right on face. Cool. Landorus still has the opportunity to maybe get a crit onto us with Sludge Bomb right now, but I don't think it's going to beat Ting Lu and Amoonguss, even if it crits. So I'm happy to just Fire Spin now and go for... Might as well Sand Tomb. In case we don't get the Fire Spin off. Okay, they just end up forfeiting. Nice. I think what was really big was like this Miraidon set just not really be able to threaten with a lot of damage. The Landorus was really interesting. Yeah, of course, also the Life Orb, I was like, there's no Life Orb on Landorus, but it's on the Miraidon. Like, we literally saw that as soon as it attacked. And so it makes sense as to why it's Covert Cloak on Landorus. I was just so confused for a second because it's like you almost always use either Life Orb or Choice Scarf on Landorus. And so Cloak was actually pretty cool, right? It like did save them from Snarl, and that's a big deal in this game when the Lander stayed on the field for the entire time. But either way, Eternatus got set up, and we were able to... I think like Zacian fainting so early on meant that we were able to just take control of the game. Miraidon, Ice Rider, Grimmsnarl, Urshifu, Incineroar, Landorus. This, of course, has been a super popular composition. One of the best teams of the format. Scarf Miraidon, which is not bad for us to run into. There's Urshifu, though, so Water Ogerpon / Amoonguss I think are going to be necessary here. Question is which one. If I'm my opponent, I'm going Miraidon, Ice Rider, Urshifu, Lando, personally. Yeah, I think this is a good matchup for Water Ogerpon, honestly. So I want to bring that. But then it's like I also want Ting Lu and I want Glimmora. But I need this to Will-O-Wisp Ice Rider. Classic dilemma. It could be dropping Ting Lu, which into a Miraidon team seems a little sketchy. But I think they could be back to Specs Miraidon, which scares me. I am actually dropping Ting Lu here because I do think it's quite bad into the rest of the team. I also think the presence of Ting Lu means my opponent might play a little bit more cautiously with Miraidon, but let's see if they lead it. Yeah, they still lead it. Yeah, I mean, if this ends up just being Specs Miraidon, like dropping Ting Lu will end up costing me a good bit, I think, but we shall see. Miraidon's slower than Eternatus, so this is Specs. Oh, yeah. Ting Lu probably should have come. If I were them, I would like Volt Switch or Fairy Terra Dazzle. I think I will just go Fairy Terra Cosmic Power here. Mortal Spin. But yeah, really regretting not bringing Ting Lu right now because they are looking like they're Specs. Although, I mean, if it's Specs and they commit to Fairy Terra Dazzle, it's not like Ting Lu's amazing there anyway. Okay, and they don't go for a Terra, which is fine. Cosmic Power number 1. Volt Switch. I mean, I think that's fine. My guess is it's Urshifu that comes in. The fact we're faster than Miraidon is honestly nice, though. Landorus. No Urshifu in this matchup. That's kind of a big deal. Okay. I'll take it. Poison now gets spread. It's going to be Ice Rider Miraidon in the end game, which is fine. Thunderwave from this is the one thing I want to really respect. But even if you Thunderwave, it's not the end of the world. It's mainly like a redirected with Ogerpon. Like, it could be... If I'm my opponent, I think Thunderwave this, Sandsear Storm makes a lot of sense. I think I can go Protect here. Switch in Ogerpon. And then I can switch Ogerpon back out into Glimmora and then Fire Spin Landorus. Yeah, it's T-Wave. Cool. Might just be Sludge Bomb, honestly, into that slot, too. Oh. Nice play. I was kind of greedy on my end, maybe. Don't love giving that up for free. Really great call by them, saying, you know what, I'll just take the knockout onto your Glimmora. Definitely puts me in a tougher spot, but it's okay. I'm going to go another Cosmic Power here and Moongeist Beam into Landorus. Yeah, they T-Wave into Lunala. That was really nice. Because, like, I think it makes sense. You don't need to Earth Power Sansir there, and Sludge Bomb KOs Glimmora anyway, and it specifically does cover for a Water Ogerpon switch in. I don't think we survived that even with the crit, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, not a terrible split for us this turn. They're letting me get a couple boosts up, which is a big deal. I want a Cosmic Power again right now. If we had Protect here, I think I'd go for it. Cosmic Power again. Two turns of terrain, so actually this would be a good turn to get a knockout. Moongeist Landorus. They still haven't Thunder Waved us, so I still keep getting these, which I'll take. They had Taunt this whole time, but they didn't go for it. I mean, Taunt was on the initial version of this team, so it's not really shocking, but I think this is okay. I don't mind this too much, all things considered. I mainly just feel a little silly letting Water Ogerpon get sniped off the way I did. That was just a nice play by my opponent. They didn't greed like a Sludge Bomb or a Sansir there. And I think like risk versus reward wise, it was probably better just lose Glimmora there. But I thought I had the relatively free switch in. Okay, well now we're at +3 with Eternatus, so it has been boosted up a ton. You probably want to bring out Mirai is my guess. No, they bring out Ice Rider. Okay. Hey, I'll take that. Like, they're letting me Cosmic Power, which I think is huge. I guess the main thing is with this slot, I can't... Like, I'm taunted, so I can't actually Will-O-Wisp. But I think I'm down to just Fire Spin this. And Moongeist it. That sucks. That also sucks. They missed Leech Seed, though. It is also the Leech Seed set instead of the Clear Amulet set, so that's also kind of annoying to deal with. Getting a burn would be huge. Terrain disappears. Last turn a taunt. Gotta think about how to sequence this. I'm at -2. Like, just like with Leech Seed, You don't really do enough damage, though, right? I get to just PP stall Glacial Lance. I actually don't mind going for Cosmic Power here, plus Moonblast. Yeah, they protect. Okay. Finally go for Thunder Wave. Yeah. It's fine. Would have been nice if I switched Lunala out into Glimmora to eat the Spirit Break, to, like, reset my drops. But yeah, I think Eternatus wins the 1v1 even with Leech Seed and Leftovers, right? Because I just PP stall. And I have Recover? I actually don't know. And yeah, Ice Rider was the reason I didn't want to bring Ting Lu. That's like the number one case. So Groudon comes in. Now you can obviously lock into Electro Drift. You should Electro Drift into this slot. I think I'll Fire Spin into Miraidon. Will-O-Wisp into Ice Rider. I doubt I get the Will-O-Wisp off. I'll commit Terra here, okay? I mean, there's no way they're clicking Dazzling Gleam, right? Yeah. I don't feel like they needed to Terra Fairy there, but I guess they were thinking, like, why not? Ah, that's unfortunate. I don't know if it makes that big of a difference, quite frankly, though. Because it's like, I just don't have any residual damage on either of these. Like, I think the Glimmora switch-in may have been beneficial just to get some poison off onto Miraidon, but yeah. I think Leech Seed Ice Rider is also going to be the stronger set here instead of the Glacial Lance High Horsepower set. Like, we ran into the Specs Miraidon Leech Seed version rather than the Scarf Miraidon Clear Amulet version. They should just drift again into this. Well, actually, you will run out of Electro Drift PP, right? Wait, so yeah, I can recover here, Spiky Shield this turn. Wonder how this game would have played out if I didn't have those misses slash paras. They drifted into us here. Could have been a Sludge Bomb. It's still fine, I think, but... Yeah, but yeah, this is the downside of, like, stall-oriented strategies, right? I'm so vulnerable to bad luck from, like, paras, and getting a single Thunder Wave off an Eternatus is, like, completely game-changing, so can't really be one to complain here. But it's just unfortunate to get denied so many attacks here. Nice play by my opponent there to go for the drift into this slot. Could have been a Sludge Bomb, but yeah. I think it's, yeah, they actually didn't bring Urshifu, which was interesting. I think the one turn I regret the most is probably switching an Ogerpon. Like, I could have just sacked Glimmora there. Landorus was still going to be a pretty big problem for us, though, right? But we had gotten, like, early pressure with Poison, which was nice. The problem was, like, I just feel like Eternatus wasn't able to do much because I, like, just kept getting Parrot and kept, like, between Parrot and Fire Spin misses. Like, I never actually got a Fire Spin off, right? But, yeah, I think, like, Thunder Wave is going to be one of the best solutions from the opposing end to deal with us. And I think it's like Amoonguss and Water Ogerpon can be used to redirect it, but Water Ogerpon's so vulnerable to Sludge Bomb from the Landers as well. And yeah, like maybe it could have been Ting Lu, but Ting Lu is really bad into Ice Rider. Like it's just a huge liability, so I don't necessarily regret our Pokemon picks. But yeah, it's like I think what I needed to do was prioritize getting rid of Grimmsnarl earlier and getting a Fire Spin onto it earlier as well. Because if I had avoided the paralysis on the Eternatus, then that would have worked out better. But with the paralysis, it's like I'm just really flipping coins every turn. And we just flipped a bunch of tails here in the end, right? But I think it's like to be expected when you're playing a game with like 10 to 12 turns. And so like that's absolutely one of the downsides of using a strategy like this, and it's one of the reasons why stall is not as effective or consistent as a strategy in VGC than it might be in like singles, for example, right? Yeah, the main thing I'm thinking is if I've just sacked Glimmora, how the game would have played out from then it's like I probably would have brought out Lunala afterwards and would have had Water Ogre Pawn for like one redirection turn against the Miraidon, but the thing is Miraidon still just blows things up with the Choice Specs variant, so yeah. Interesting. We've got Ice Rider, NDD, Necrozma, Dawn Wings, Annihilate, Urshifu, and the Crab. Ting Lu should be really good here. I think the Crab scares me. I'll probably want to bring a Moongus into this one. But then who do we drop? Because I want Lunala, you would think, right? Maybe I don't bring a Moongus? Just seems odd, because under Trick Room, this seems like a really solid pick. But I think we could just go Glimmora, Eternatus, Lunala, Ting Lu. I think a Moongus over Ting Lu is probably better, though, here. The main thing about Ting Lu is that it's obviously very good into Necrozma plus NDD. Like, that's the argument for it, but it's not good into Ice Rider at all. Amoonguss can survive Glacial Lands, get a Spore off. So, NDD Ice Rider, okay. I think that's fine with me. We can Poison immediately here, and then start Cosmic Powering. I think that seems decent here. And then once the Glimmora faints, get a switch into Lunala and just Wide Guard and make Ice Rider miserable. So, yeah, Mortal Spin, Terra, Cosmic Power. Which is kind of normally your go-to play here on turn 1 with this duo. There's the Fairy Terra. There's not much on their team that can really take advantage of this. And they go for Follow Me. Perfect. There's Cosmic Power number 1. And Mortal Spin. You are now poisoned. Beautiful. I think the main question is what I want to do next turn. I'm thinking Spiky Shield Glimmora, Fire Spin into Ice Rider to get it trapped in immediately. But I could just go for another Cosmic Power and keep boosting up. Okay. If you're my opponent, I think you could obviously double up onto the Glimmora slot. I think I don't mind going for Spiky Shield here. Yeah, it's between Fire Spin or Cosmic Power. I like Fire Spin. Okay, they go for Helping Hand. That's fine, especially because I have the Focus Sash on Glimmora, and if they go for the same play next turn, it's going to be really tough for them, I think. I could also, obviously, like, protect with Eternatus and get a switch it into Lunala. We'll see how much this does. I don't think it'll be over half, but... yeah, nice. Beautiful. Now we've got Fire Spin. So I'm going to recover this next turn. Heal back all the damage that we're taking from their end. My main debate is whether or not I want to pivot out the Glimmora, but I think it's okay to actually just stay in with it right now. Yeah, I'm down to go for a Sludge Bomb here into NDD and recover. Cool. They go for another Helping Hand. Perfect. That is great because we have Focus Sash. So Glacial comes out. That's fine. Does not crit us, crucially. Fantastic. And that sets up Toxic Spikes. That's part of the reason why I didn't want to switch out there. I like the idea of getting my Toxic Spikes off. Sludge Bomb does a lot into NDD, and we'll recover as well. Beautiful. All that residual damage keeps stacking up. Fire Spin. So Ice Rider faints after this next turn. It's 2 turns of Trick Room left. What are they going to have in the back? You would think Urshifu plus Necrozma, maybe? Basically, I'm thinking that I let them KO my Glimmora here to get a free switch in. Because then I get Amoonguss in, which is pretty sweet. So, yeah, I'm down for that. Mortal Spin here. And actually go for a Protect with Eternatus. And they go for Helping Hand again, which I am more than okay with. This is the really nice thing of them like being hard Trick Room and not swapping out early is like I'm sure they didn't expect to get trapped in by Fire Spin, right? And so like normally with hard Trick Room, you want to replace your support Pokemon with a really powerful attacker, but here Indeed's just been trapped in this entire time, right? So we are nearing the end of Trick Room, but I still have a Amoonguss, which I can bring in to get a Spore off onto something, and 2 layers of Toxic Spikes are up, right? So while Ice Rider gets the Chilling Neigh boost, it doesn't matter because both of these Pokemon now faint at the end of the turn. So I think this early game honestly went as well as it could have, so now it's about just really taking it home. But I think we bring Amoonguss out first, mainly because the Lunala can be vulnerable into Dark Urshifu. If that's what they have in the back. Dark Ursh plus Necrozma would make sense, right? But I think that's the Crab. Cool. Crab Brawler hits the field. And there's Necrozma. Okay. So both of these get poison now, which is obviously really good for us. And it's the last turn of Trick Room, which is also really good for us, right? So I think here, honestly, we can just go for a Spore onto... Oh, we can't Spore, actually. My bad, since the poison. But I think what we can do is Pollen Puff and Cosmic Power. Now, knowing you don't have Urshifu in the back, my Lunala should also be quite good in the end game. So, yeah, I'm down to just heal back up here. They're going to outspeed us, so Ice Hammer here into Amoonguss. Does not even knock us out, surprisingly. Wow. So they eat up Rocky Helmet damage. We'll heal back up. And I'm guessing an Expanding Force comes out right now. Yeah, but that's fine. This is why the Terra was so crucial on the Eternatus in this game, right? Got around Glacial Lance doing super effective damage as well as Expanding Force. And now I get a nice Cosmic Power off. Perfect. And the double Glacial Lance into us to give 2 layers of Toxic Spikes is honestly super nice. Trick Room expires. No more terrain. And we get Lunala out. So we've made it to an end game with both of our restricteds, which is fantastic. And +2 on the Eternatus as well. We just really shouldn't be able to KO this, I think. I'm happy personally to Moonblast. I mean, like, Moongeist into this is relatively safe, right? Do I really have to worry about this? This could Terra. It's more just like, I don't think this threatens us at all, but they could protect Trick Room. But even if they protect Trick Room, it's still fine. Like, I'm down to Cosmic Power Moonblast here. Because you would think they Terra the Necrozma, right? Yeah. Terra Water, that's fine. Cool, so let's see if they went for Protect Trick Room. If not, Moonblast is going to do a ton. Beautiful. That should be game. I think this game basically played out as well as it could have. The one thing you have to be scared of when you use this team is just getting crit, but yeah, Lunala is nice because it's obviously really good support with Wide Guard and Will-O-Wisp, but it actually can dish out a lot of damage as well. So it's going to be Moongeist Beam onto us, but that's fine. And we actually end up surviving that as well. Nice. Cool. Now we can go for Fire Spin. Necrozma's obviously on a timer. Moongeist Beam, Fire Spin. We don't miss. Fantastic. And honestly, even a crit from Necrozma, I don't think will save them, right? I don't think a crit attack even KOs us. And look how much Lunala is actually doing with its attacks. Nice. I was going to say, if you crit Meteor Beam here, like, I think it still doesn't matter because you just take too much damage and Moongeist Beam KOs you. But it's going to be the Meteor Beam set, targeting the Lunala here. You'll secure the KO, but with 2 layers of the Toxic Spites, the Badly Poison, plus the Fire Spin. I actually think the Charisma might just faint here. I think it has like just 1 HP at the end. Let's see. Yeah, just the Sliver. But we can always just click Protect here, guarantee that we don't get crit, and that'll be game over. Beautiful. So I think no Urshifu was nice. I was a little bit worried about Dark Urshifu coming out and being able to just one-shot the Lunala. That's always a threat, but the Eternatus was just so able to set up freely in this game, and it was like never really threatened at any given point, and they didn't have enough damage to deal with everything that was next to Eternatus as well, which obviously worked in our advantage. We've got Miraidon Groudon here with Whimsicott, Urshifu, Incineroar, and Fluttermane. Okay. I think Ting Lu is really interesting here. I think Amoonguss could actually be brought. Wide Guard from Lunala should be pretty good. But I think I'm down for just Glimmora, Eternatus, Lunala, Ting Lu. Yeah, I think the only debate is whether or not we'd want to bring Amoonguss, but the idea behind this is I will be able to start going for Cosmic Power pretty early on. It's likely Dark Urshifu in their team, so I think we probably need a Terra Eternatus. Flutter Groudon lead, okay. Flutter Groudon is scary from the perspective that you can theoretically go Icy Wind into Precipice Blades turn 1. Yeah, I think that's a pretty strong option for them. Speed boosting. I think I honestly want a Spiky Shield turn 1, Fairy Terra, and Cosmic Power immediately, and start boosting up. We'll see if they opt for an Icy Wind play or not. But we need a Terra to get around. Precipice Blades dealing super effective damage into us, obviously. I'll go for Spiky. Yep, they do opt for Icy Wind. Okay. I honestly might switch into Lunala next turn then. I don't know. I could also just go into Ting Lu, but I think we want to save that ideally for Miraidon. They are going to miss their first Precipice Blades, such as the curse of using Groudon. And get Cosmic Power. Okay. They'll probably go for the same as my guess, so I don't know. I actually could see a world in which we just switch Lunala here. Alternatively, like, they could miss Icy Wind or Precipice Blades onto Glimmora, so I could just say, you know what, I'll sacrifice it. And then the third option is actually just switching in Ting Lu. Because the thing is, if I go into Lunala, what do I do the subsequent turn, right? Yeah, I'm down to Mortal Spin here and get a Fire Spin off into Groudon. Oh, it's Taunt Fluttermane. Okay. Well, good thing we clicked Fire Spin. So the residual damage now is going to start to add up. But Eternatus being taunted is honestly kind of awkward for it, right? I can't really heal back right now. And another Precipice plays dodge. So only 1 for 3 so far. But I'd say they probably hit the more important one in Glimmora. But there's a layer of Toxic Spikes. And we get Fire Spin off. Actually does meaningful damage with the sun being up, honestly. So I'll take it. Okay, so now the residual damage really starts to stack up, right? But we've definitely been lucky with the misses so far. Eternatus definitely should have a lot less health than it currently does. 2 more turns of Taunt. I think I'm down to just Spiky Shield here, Fire Spin into Fluttermane. Yep, go Icy Wind again. That's fine. Just drop our speed. Groudon actually has Will-O-Wisp. Whoa, okay. You don't see that every day, but that's going to be a pretty nice move for them. We'll get a Fire Spin off. And the reason the Will-O-Wisp is nice here is just because it means that I am taking residual damage every turn, so that's really cool. But now we've poisoned them, and we've trapped them via Fire Spin, so everyone's taking a lot of damage right now. Glimmora has honestly served its purpose, so I am more than happy with its performance here. Beautiful. It's the last turn of Taunt as well, which is great. Happy to just give up Glimmora now. Yeah, I'll launch a Sludge Bomb into you. And I want to make sure we get rid of Fluttering so then I can go for another Recover. And no Taunt from their end, so I'll target Flutter here. We'll get an Icy Wind, which now means single target Precipice Blades from Groudon, which is obviously going to be pretty powerful. But Taunt plus Will-O-Wisp is actually a very good combo for them to have here in dealing with us. They finally connect here. Single target. Does pretty good damage there. Fire Spin into Flutter. Cool, so that should faint now. Great. Does Groudon faint from this? I think it does, right? Let me take Burn. Nice. Cool. So that's 2 down. Check off the Taunt. I think now I would like to go into the Ting Lu, probably. Oh, and it's Whimsicott. Okay, I think that's really good for us to see. I'm shocked they didn't bring Urshifu, quite honestly. I feel like with this, Ting Lu should be in really good shape. You eat up the poison now. Engine activates. Okay. And the key thing here is having our Vessel of Ruin active. So this could Fairy Terra Dazzling, maybe. I don't think that even knocks us out here. I'm down to go for Stomping Tantrum into you and Recover. Now, normally you would want to be very cautious about what you click into Whimsicott, because Whimsicott can just Encore you, but like I actually don't mind being Encored into Recover, quite frankly. So, part of the reason why Ting Lu is on this team is to deal with Miraidon, and they actually just end up forfeiting outright. Yeah, I think they needed Urshifu over Whimsicott as the last one. With Whimsicott, like, it just doesn't really do enough, and you can click Moonblast, and that's basically it. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thank you so much, as always, for watching. Thought it was really interesting to feature such a different strategy than what we conventionally see in VGC. Like I mentioned, probably wouldn't recommend this if you're looking for consistent strategies in VGC, but it is cool to show off a different archetype and show off how stall-oriented strategies can work in this format. That being said, they're not popular for a reason, and I think this game, or these games, definitely demonstrated both the highs and lows of executing something like this. But yeah, thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.